in which, or the context in which you work every day, and you may say, oh, that was that one piece, that's what I'll use. But when you get back into your workaday world, time goes on and you have skills that you've been using, and it's easier to use them, and it's hard to break that pattern and put the new skills in. So that's the point of the coaching. Reflection is really an integral part of what coaching is, and one of the things we struggle with that we're not going to spend a lot of time on right today is time. Time is that factor. In order for you to have reflection time, it takes time. In order for you to sit with someone and be in rapport with them and use your best skills to mediate their thinking to a higher level, takes time. So we do acknowledge that, and everything that you're learning today is pieces of what we would like to be able to teach you and get into your heads. Mandy mentioned earlier that a lot of it is from cognitive coaching. That website is cognitivecoaching.com. They have a textbook that you can purchase. They also have an 8-day training. I believe in order to get the workbook that goes with the text, you have to participate in 8 days of training. And then a lot of the information comes from Adaptive Schools, which is the same people. Cognitive coaching was a lot of research about how people interact and what works. Adaptive Schools takes that into the school context and talks more about coaching within a team and etc. So you're getting some pieces of both. Adaptive Schools information is at adaptiveschools.com. Both are very good websites, and especially on the Adaptive Schools website, there's like an activity or a reading of the week. So there's a lot of information. If you keep going into there, they're pulling out little kernels of good stuff and making it available over time. Go ahead. Some more thoughts on reflections. Reflecting really is what coaching is about. Reflecting is taking time to think about information that you've learned. And reflection is what is going to get you to some of those insights and understandings that are going to lead you to better problem solving. And as you do reflecting with another, that's a significant piece of how you provide that to the other as well. Go ahead. We're going to give you an opportunity to do a reflection right now, just based on what you've done for the morning. Here's the question. Think on it for 2 minutes. At a signal, turn to a shoulder partner and share your thinking. And then at another signal, you can take an opportunity to write down as many ideas or thoughts as you can. So go ahead, turn to your shoulder partner and thinking on that question. If you can hear me, raise your hand. Thanks. Mandy's little noisemaker is very effective, as opposed to my big old voice. One of the foundational things that we want to share with you is the concept that there are states of mind that impact your ability to do the skills that we're talking about. The reason that this is very foundational is that these states of mind are areas where you can continue to grow and build skills. So we want you to just have this general framework in your head. Go ahead and change that. And it comes under holonomy, which is the study of whole. Holonomy comes from the Greek holos, meaning whole, and on, meaning part. Holonomy refers to the understanding that elements are at the same time parts of a bigger system as well as individual elements. And whatever situation that you work in, that's true of you. A person who is well developed as a holonymous person has a strong sense of themselves as an individual and at the same time of themselves as part of a whole. And understanding that can be very powerful in terms of you building skills both as an individual, but also understanding how those skills make you an effective contributor to the larger part. So each person is striving to be unique, capable, and individual. There's like a natural tension between your awareness of being an individual and being a whole. In special education, we call that independence, teaching children to independence. And at the same time, you're drawn to become a member of a community, or you're in a situation where you will do better when you can be an effective member of a community. In special ed, we call that interdependence. I come from special education way back when we were first doing community training. How many of you remember community training and the domains of community and vocational and recreational, and what was the last one? I've forgotten. So we exist in this duality in which we're striving to be effective as both an individual and a member. So the pieces of holonomy are the states of mind, and there are 5 states of mind, and I'm going to give you just a quick piece of this, and if you're interested in it, you can do some more research on yourself. You would find a lot of it in the textbook from either cognitive coaching or adaptive schools. But one of the areas of skill is efficacy. And efficacy is the sense that I have the capacity to make a difference through my work. And I'm able and willing to take responsibility to do so. So it's believing in the fact that I can make a difference in what I do. And so in efficacy, we want to move from an external locus of control. In other words, whether I'm effective is dependent upon someone else or some situation or something that's external to me, and moving toward an understanding of an internal locus of control. I can take charge over this, and I can determine how efficacious I am in my work. Consciousness, knowing what and how I'm thinking about my work in this moment, and being willing to be aware of my actions and their effects. So consciousness is, again, taking control, being intentional, and taking responsibility. So we're moving in consciousness from a lack of awareness of myself and others to an increased awareness of this is myself and this is others, and these are the skills that I have in this situation to make a difference. Craftsmanship, knowing that I can continually perfect my craft and being willing to work toward excellence and pursue ongoing learning. So craftsmanship, I want to move away from being vague and imprecise in knowing what the skills are that I have and how I can use them. And I want to move towards specificity and elegance. I love that word, elegance. I want to move toward elegance. That sounds like a great goal. Flexibility. Knowing that I have and can develop options to consider about my work, and being willing to acknowledge and demonstrate respect and empathy for diverse perspectives. So I think flexibility speaks for itself, being able to be flexible in a variety of situations, and we want to move from being narrow and egocentric, what I believe is what matters, my world kind of ends here, to being broader and being able to accept and use alternative perspectives. Interdependence. Knowing that we will benefit from participating in, contributing to, and receiving professional relationships, and being willing to create and change relationships to benefit our work. So when we talk about benefiting our work, we're talking about benefiting children. So in interdependence, moving away from isolation and separateness, Those of you who have been in education for a long time, who have worked with a lot of teachers in various classrooms, understand how isolating that can be for those teachers. And even you in your jobs can feel if you're not part, if you don't have a strong sense of that whole. So moving towards connection to and concern for the community in which I am working. Go ahead. We're going to spend some time this afternoon then in looking at the 7 norms of collaboration. Again, this comes out of cognitive coaching. It's a framework for us to use those skills that we're talking about, being intentional in how we interact with other people, being aware of the behaviors that we can use, the language that we can use that will facilitate the thinking of another, and being aware of some traditional structures that we have used in the past that literally take away from the other their best ability to think and to problem solve. We're going to look primarily at promoting a spirit of inquiry, a little bit at pausing, and we're going to do paraphrasing and probing. And you'll notice that there are some other norms that are up there that are also really important. We're just trying to fit this within a structure. We hope that we will give you a taste of something that tastes pretty good and that you'll want to pursue it more for yourself. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is that spirit of inquiry. When we're having an interaction with another person and we're going in as the expert, and believe me, Mandy and I have been doing this for 20 years and 15 years, and that has been the expectation on us. 20 years ago, when the State Board of Ed funded Project Choices and many other things that they funded, and down through the years, the expectation is that we are the experts, we have the knowledge, and believe you me, we have been in many, many situations like this where there are a lot of people in the room, situations where we're in a classroom, and we're just pouring our pearls of wisdom before these people and experiencing some frustration because that process in and of itself does not make that person behave in the way that we would like them to behave, that we believe and perhaps they believe could be of benefit to children. But it's not an effective process. So the first thing we want to do is to get away from, I'm the expert, here's what you want to do, see you later, okay? And we want to look at how our behaviors and our interactions can create a different environment in which other people become problem solvers for themselves. If the other person owns the solution, they're more apt to work hard at implementing it. So inquiry has a lot to do with asking the other to make their thinking visible. And there are multiple reasons why this is a very effective thing to be doing. The first is that what I am doing is I am seeking to understand before I'm seeking to be understood, which is a Stephen Covey principle. But this is very similar to that. Instead of my first interaction within problem solving for a teacher is to say, I want you to understand what I'm telling you. First, what I want to do is to seek to understand that teacher. That is very invitational to that teacher. It's very respectful to that teacher. It honors that they are a person who has a lot of knowledge and skills, that they work hard, that when they get up in the morning and look in the mirror, they're not saying, okay, whose life am I going to screw up today? That they really want to do good things for kids. Inquiry uses non-aggressive language and an approachable voice. An approachable voice is a voice that goes up at the end of the sentence. And it might be an invitation like, can you help me understand your thinking? It's asking the other to make their thinking visible. Using a pattern of pause, then paraphrase, and then probe, or inquire again. Using tentative language. Tentative language is obviously not giving real definite verbs, but it's also plural. What are some ways in which? What are your hunches about? What are some ways in which you might? And so it's using language that invites the other to not make immediate decision right now. If what you ask is, well, what do you think is the answer to this problem? You may be asking them for their thinking, but you're also asking them to solve the problem right now, not to be in that brainstorming, thinking broader, opening up my mind venue, but to be saying, okay, I got to make a decision. What do I think would be the solution here? What we want to do when we're using tentative language is to invite ongoing thinking at this point. To inquire for significance. So again, honoring their situation, their thinking, the fact that they have worked with a child for a long time, which I know sometimes can feel like what the teacher says is, I know this kid and I've tried this and this and this and this and this and everything you say they've already tried. We don't want to be afraid to go ahead and honor that and to listen to it and to allow them to put it on the table. So inquiring for significance, how does this relate to other concerns? Where does this reasoning go next? And then to invite introspection, which again is inviting them to take some of their deeper thinking and make it visible to you within the conversation. What questions do you have? A lot of what we're talking about with all of these 7 norms of communication is that we're using questioning when we're working with another person. And we're using it in a way that invites them to think more deeply, and that also communicates to them that we believe that they have that capacity within them to find solutions to their problems, as opposed to they're looking to us for solutions. So listening we've talked about listening a lot. Listening is being present in the moment. I will tell you that's a real struggle for me, to stop and be present in the moment, and don't let my mind go to what I think the answer is, and don't let my mind go to, boy, the traffic's going to be heavy. If I don't get out of here by 3:30, oh man, I'm going to be on the road for 2 hours. To don't let my mind do the other things that it does to me, because all of us have lives that are very busy and we have lots of stresses. But listening is first and foremost being present in the moment with that person. And as Mandy said earlier, it's not even listening and crafting your response as you listen. Because the minute you start thinking about your response, you're no longer listening to them. So you may have listened to this much of what they said, but you're missing the rest of it. Listening is being in the moment with the person. Listening is also setting aside autobiographical listening. I know a lot of people, actually I'm married to one of those, who in many situations where someone else is telling something that happened to them that is very interesting to them or very stressful to them. They might be sharing something really intimate, and he's got so many life experiences that it takes him immediately to one of his experiences, and his response is, yeah, boy, that's really interesting. You know what happened to me once? I'm also very guilty of that. Maybe it's easier to default to as you get older and you've had a lot of life experiences, I'm not sure. But we want to set aside autobiographical listening. It's not about me. Surprisingly enough, it's not about me. It's again about being in the moment and listening. We want to set aside solution listening, where as they're expressing the problem, we're already coming up with the solution. And so we're going to be good to go when that person stops talking. Okay, here's 12 things you could try tomorrow. Pick one. What we want is to mediate the thinking of the other person to come to a solution that they believe they can try next. And even set aside our curiosity. In other words, we want to be listening for what the issue is that they're trying to express, and not be asking a lot of ancillary questions about the situation that don't really relate to the problem solving that we're doing now. So it may be very interesting, and you might want to say, well, you know, what is the family situation for this child, and you know, how does this, whatever, that would really be interesting things for you to learn, but are not about the situation in which we're looking to mediate the thinking of the other. So here are some examples: autobiographical listening, inquisitive listening, thinking about a question you have, solution listening, thinking immediately about a solution. Just a minute here. Okay. Go to the next one. I know why it's doing that, but that just go.
I don't want to look at the screen.
There you go. Okay, going to give you a chance to reflect. Stand up, find someone that you haven't done a reflection with before today, and that you didn't come with today, and that you don't work with on a daily basis. Hopefully there will be enough of those people in the room. You have a reading. Uh-oh. Do I not have that reading? I'm promoting a spirit of inquiry. No, there was a longer reading. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll use that one. I'm sorry, I had a longer reading for you, and I'll try to make that available to Sherry in the future. Okay? And we're going to just do the say something again. Okay, when you're just do the two boxes. So each of you read a box silently, look at each other and say something, and do that for the second box, and then we'll just come back and sit down. So just stand up and find a stranger to do that with. I had my little pile on the desk last night. I wonder what I did with that.